For
And
anybody
for
just
those of
joining
you that
in,
are just tuning in, yeah,
for
we're
anybody joining in,
disgusting.
we were just mesmerized by the countdown again. Oh, God, way to start.
Oh, we really need to have lives. We
I
really
know, I
do.
know.
Because
A
if
real
we're mesmerized
hobby.
by that,
Oh, right, man.
something
But
that'll take us. I mean, if we get excited by so little, it's like,
can you imagine if it was something serious?
you know. Anyway, I'm sorry, Rob. Please go
No, it's
ahead.
okay. It's okay. I'm just as guilty. But hey, hello, everybody. How's
Wow.
everybody doing? Welcome to episode 12. I believe this is now Two Friends Talking,
Wow.
right?
We're on episode 12?
12, and that doesn't include the Christmas episode, the quick one. So
Oh,
in
wow.
all, it's 13. This is the 13th one. So I'm glad we've made it this far, and
Didn't even
hopefully,
know that it was the 13th episode. That's like, wow. Which means that it's not actually work, right? For us, it's just about finding time. Right? It's just not,
exactly.
it's never about work. Wow, 13.
Yeah,
Kudos to us. We got through 13 episodes.
lucky 13. Wow. Yeah. So I'm glad you made it. Thank you very much. How's it been?
Good. Everything is good. Again, any day above ground is a good day. So
Yeah, man.
happy
Amen.
about that. Yeah. When you start hearing about these deaths, over the last couple of days, a young actress by the name of Michelle Trachtenberg, she's 39 years old when she passed away. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily young. I consider that young. You know,
Yeah,
the pre
sure.
40 is young.
Yeah.
And then Gene Hackman this morning, I'm reading all these news stories about potential suspicion behind his death and his wife's death and his dog's death. And this Gene Hackman, to me, and I just got to start off this way, ladies and gentlemen, that man, what an actor. If you've never seen a Gene Hackman movie, and I
Mm-hmm.
would suggest if you want to go back a bit and look at the Seven Ups with Roy
Mm-hmm.
Scheider, yes,
Back in the
really
day.
good. Yes, really good, gritty crime drama. Yes, they did make movies pre 2000 that are pretty good. And it's a really good movie, and I liked him ever since. And even in his silly roles, like The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, where he's the coach of the football team, I'm just watching, I'm remembering all his movies. And what a, and what's the one where he's the basketball coach, which it's beloved, but I can't remember.
I think it's Hoosiers.
Hoosiers, thank you. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing to hear that. But he was also 95 years old, so he lived a good life, I hope. But
Yeah.
I hope that it wasn't under suspicious conditions. It just sounds like a
Well,
tragic accident. Yeah.
well, here's the thing, right? And it's interesting that that was the first point that you should bring up because we were going for the trending stories, and that's one of the top three trending stories.
Mm,
So, but before we go there, if it's okay with you, let's stick to
of
our
course.
format of questions
Let's
and
do that.
answers.
Because we
And
just
then
jump right into it and we forget, and it's just forget.
exactly,
We're
it's
terrible at
easy.
that.
It's
Yeah.
easy for us. Again, it's
Yeah.
just like a little laser with the cats and
What? Oh, look at that pigeon. Oh, no, let me stop.
squirrels. All right. So the first question, or the first point to you, Amanda Knox. She wrote, "I love your podcasts as is, but would you consider a third party being involved? Are you up for this?" I think she's basically saying,
She's
I
into
think she must be
us.
part of the show, yeah, or maybe
Hey,
not.
why not?
Yeah,
You know what? We're not. I don't know. Are we opposed to that? We're always open to new ideas. You know, if
sure.
we feel that the relationship that Ralph and I have, that's a relationship that's been built over generations. To be honest with you, and it's kind of like that's something that we never had to overcome at the beginning, right? When we thought about doing this, but yeah, we would always love a third. I'd love to take different directions and see where we want to go. Whatever people want to hear, I guess, right? Why
Yeah,
not? You
sure.
want to submit a little video of yourself to us? We should give a little. I guess we should make up an email for them to submit like a little video of
Why not?
themselves. Why not? Right? I
Sure.
think that'd be cool.
Yeah. Now, the email, I always include the email in the introduction and sometimes in the closing. And so it's there. And what I'll do is at some point during this podcast, I'll go ahead and I'll overlay the email
Are we
so that
gonna?
if
Oh, so we're
anybody,
sending everything there? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'll just go ahead and and field everything. And I'll include you, obviously, on everything that happens because we
Yeah.
have to be in agreement on this. But I think to shed a little bit more on that is, we have considered bringing in a third guest from time to time, specifically our friend Arnold, and maybe. Hopefully, if the man can make some time, Curtis, to join us. So, in a way, we have considered opening this up to a third party, but only temporarily because I know he's way too busy. Both of these gentlemen are way too busy to do this on a routine basis. So
But I love the
I'm not,
idea of the guest, though. Yeah, I
yeah,
love the idea of
I'm not
guests.
against.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not against having somebody from time to time join us, or one time here
sure.
and somebody different there, if they've got something that we think that the audience would be interested in, obviously.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're just
absolutely.
another one of us just talking mindlessly. Who needs that?
I mean, we've got enough talking heads, and
Oh
that we're
God.
listening to. It's got all
So
my,
yes,
you know.
but thank you for that question. Second question, I'll take this one. And actually, this one actually comes from a friend of mine. He writes, I love the relationship between you two. Regarding the point that you guys made, Trump and Musk, and all the access given to Musk, I can see and understand the point. Still, I need some time to process the truth, and I'm still on the fence about everything. Well, all right. Certainly, I can see, yeah, I can see that. But at no point are we trying to jostle, or we're not trying to guide anybody to any particular opinion. So, Chris or anybody else who's out there, yeah, this is a complicated issue, what's happening now in Washington or in Florida, wherever all this is happening. This is not easy. I think we touched on this in the last episode where things may not always be what they appear, and at the end of the day, everybody has an objective, whether the objective is noble or otherwise. So we have to definitely view everything and boil it down and see what really is happening here. So the idea of Musk being given access, I guess, yeah, it's troubling. And some people like the idea because not having somebody monitoring the event, the government over the years has led us into a little bit of a situation that we're in right now. I'm not taking any sides. I'm just reporting it all. I'm just showing what I see. But I can see why Chris and others are still on the fence and they need time to digest this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, look, there's one thing that you can be sure that's happening in this presidency, right? Things are changing every single day,
Boy, are
right?
they.
So, yeah, right. So they're changing every single day. He's certainly trying to go at lightning speed with his agenda. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? If I was the president of the United States, I'd want to push everything through as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm,
Um, much like much like many presidents, he's truthful about some things, and I'm being fair. And he's not truthful about other things. He's just more blatant about the
mm-hmm.
things that he's not truthful about.
And brutal.
And rude, right? So
Yeah,
it doesn't help him that
yeah.
he's rude and obnoxious, right? It just doesn't help him. That doesn't take away from his agenda.
Right.
And then you have a private citizen. My big problem with what's going on with Elon Musk, and we talked about it off air for like 2 seconds before we started recording. For anyone that works in local, state, federal government who has a job, and it's part of the allure of that job is that, right, as a civil servant, you're going to be able to keep that job and at the end have a pension, hopefully. Well, what he's doing is that he's bringing private sector mentality to the federal workforce, right?
Mm-hmm,
He's saying, hey, I need you to justify what you did last week. For those of us that work in private sector, that's something that's common practice,
mm-hmm,
right? It's common practice. You got to tell them how many appointments you went on, who you spoke to, where did you actually go? Did you submit any sort of proposals, any sort of group, whatever, right?
mm-hmm,
You got to do that. The federal workforce is stunned by what he's doing because honestly, the idea is not a bad one, but you can't come at it with a sledgehammer. And he just didn't care. He just, like a bull in a china shop, said, you know what, you're done. All these probationary workers lost their positions. There's going to be more massive layoffs. That happens every year in private sector.
mm-hmm.
The idea of it is not the problem to me. The way it was handled is a big problem to me, right? Because you
Yeah.
just went in there and said, "Who the hell are you? You're a private citizen. You've been given special, employee access to all of our
Mm.
systems with people that I don't even know if they were vetted. Who God knows if they could be, and I'm going extreme here, right? Who could be a, double agent for North Korea? I have no idea
Yeah,
what
that's
kind
pretty
of
extreme.
access you had. Right,
Yeah.
it's pretty extreme, but you never know, right?
Right. And
And it's kind of like one of these things where you go like, he's the wealthiest man in the world, but that doesn't make him likable.
mm,
And when you're sitting there and you're you're talking about government efficiency and you're the wealthiest man in the world and some poor family just lost their breadwinner, you think they care about government
right.
efficiency? So
No,
yeah,
it's a good point.
it sucks.
You,
Yeah.
you bring up a good point, but I also want to be clear and I want to be fair about it that this happens in all
No,
administration where somebody comes in and starts laying off people. That happened in the previous administration on day one. 10,000 pipeline workers were laid off. The reaction from Joe Biden was learn to cope or something along that line. So that was viewed as cold hearted and just brutal. So my point is, this isn't new to
no.
any administration, but it doesn't make it right either. As from your perspective, as you just mentioned, there are families that are being fed from
There's a
all of
way to
these.
handle this.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Now, at the same time, this is a tightrope walk that is perilous. This is in high winds kind of a thing because at the same time, the budget is blown out of the water long ago. We are in such debt that something needs to be
We're
done.
trillions of dollars in debt.
Yeah,
Something has to
exactly.
change.
Whether it's a government, whether it's the US or Canada, or whether it's a private corporation, whether it's AT&T or whomever, there comes a point where fiscal duty stands above all. You gotta keep the profit margins coming, at the very least to satisfy the stockholders, at the very least the shareholders. And that can lead to cold-blooded decisions that are made that affect people that have nothing to do with any of that. They're just plodding along. They're doing their job. In some cases, they're doing their job well, but they're the ones that catches the axe across the neck. You know what I mean? So I understand your perspective and the perspective of others that maybe we should go at this a little bit slower or be a little bit more considerate.
More surgical, more,
Yeah.
because the more you read about what's happening, the way that it's being handled. So, from what I understand in the federal ranks, the only way they could fire you is for poor performance, right? According to the law, the way that it's written right now.
I'm not even sure about
All,
that.
yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
So that's what the reporting says, that the only way you can be fired is for poor performance.
Yeah.
A lot of the objection that's coming with the workers that were laid off is that that was a designation that was given to them, even though they had performed very well, had gotten leading appraisals, things like that. So because of the legality of it, they were all labeled a certain way. So
Yeah.
that brings a lot of pain to them.
Makes it
The
makes it
other, yeah, I mean, it just makes a decision. And it's, well, wait a minute, I wasn't a poor worker. Why am I being labeled that way? Especially when my next step is to go into private enterprise, because I'm certainly not going to stay in the federal workforce with what's happening.
hmm
And that's where I don't want to say, look, companies are going to do what they're going to do.
hmm
I could be with a company for 20 years and understanding that at any given moment I could be laid off.
Yep.
If that's where you work in private enterprise, that's the expectation. It could happen. Those days of job security, no,
Yep.
no longer exist. I don't
Right.
care where you're at, whether it be private or federal. And that's what I think is shocking everybody, right?
Yeah. 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 It is.
Now my other problem with what's happening with Elon, right? There's this other news story that he said he would never use his position to influence competition, right? All of a sudden, the FAA is being overhauled. Verizon has an existing contract with the FAA, yet Elon Musk is tweeting on X that Verizon's doing a horrible job, that I need to get in there and take care of this situation. So now Starlink satellite equipment is being taken in to FAA offices to be tested, and now all of a sudden Verizon's contract could be canceled. Now If that is what's happening and it goes no bid, that's a problem,
Yeah,
right? Because now
that's a
you're
huge problem.
enriching yourself. That's a
That's a
huge
huge
problem because
problem. Yes.
now you're enriching yourself in your
Yeah.
position, which I think is
Yeah.
what the end goal is for Elon Musk, is to enrich himself further. And this is about power and prestige and more money
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. You know.
So, well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Let's just move on, shall we?
he's that, he's
we
just, he's
we
not,
could be stuck
he's
on
just
that one
upending
forever.
everything.
Woo!
He's just great. I got it. For anyone who hasn't seen it, and I'm not bashing you, I'm just trying to, I'm being truthful to more. My opinion changes depending on what the events are, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like, did you see, there was this article where they showed this video of Elon or the president kissing Elon's feet?
No, I didn't
Or
see
was it
that
in
one.
reverse? I've got to look for it because it actually exists. It was on the news this morning. Apparently, someone had hacked a couple of federal offices and played this video on a loop of either it was Elon kissing President Trump's feet or kissing Elon's feet. I don't know what it was, but it didn't
Thank
look
God it was
right.
only that. Oh, woo, Lord.
Oh,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
we're
But
too much.
yeah.
So, what else is going on, brother? What else do you want to talk about? We can
Well,
talk about Elon and Trump all
oh
day.
yeah, man. Let's not. Let's just go on because we can be stuck on this for several
Oh,
episodes.
forever.
You know.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to discuss is if we're talking about the politics and the president is one of the things that is very very important. One of the things that caught, I think, not just my attention, but tens of millions of people's attention is when the president did promise the infamous tax cuts on tips and overtime pay and Social Security. And lo and behold, that actually did occur this past week. That actually
Mhm.
went through one of the houses of Congress. That's not to say that it's a healthy baby that was born. That's not to say that at all, but it's progressing. The baby is in a healthy state, if you want to look at it that way. And so it made it through one of the houses, and we'll see what the compromise is when it goes into the next committee. We'll see. But it kind of looks like the issue of taxes on tips, Social Security, which is very important, and overtime, it looks like it's going to come up for a vote. Me personally, I love the idea. I don't think it's anybody that could be against this, unless, of course, that person just happens to be just an adamant Trump hater. It doesn't matter what he does. But the idea of hardworking
Or,
people.
or, or because remember, he's looking to cut Medicaid, like substantial cuts
Oh yeah,
to Medicaid.
we haven't gone to that. I just that
Yeah,
hasn't that hasn't even gone to a vote yet.
right,
That's a separate issue. We're talking about these three here that
right,
has come
right.
up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see how anybody could again, but I love the idea because I do work and I get some overtime. I'm not gonna lie about that, and I kind of enjoy it. You know, the idea of keeping that overtime, all of it or most of it, through decreased taxes. I love the idea. And I believe that in a way should stimulate the economy because if people have more money to spend, they will. And they have no choice because of the way conditions are. Any kind of money that people get in their pockets, they're going to have to spend it just to stay ahead of the curve, I think. Inflation is, I don't see inflation getting any better right now, but then it's only been what, 2 months maybe in this administration, not even 2 months. It's going to take a while for inflation to correct itself if it is. So the point is, the more money that people in those three categories have, the more they're going to use it, whether they want to use it or not. That's my opinion. Just to be able to sustain their way of living, they have
Yeah,
to
I
spend
mean,
that money. They have to.
yeah, yeah, they have, well, United States is a capitalist economy. So,
That's what they say.
it's 70% driven by, the consumer. It's a consumer-driven economy. We know that.
Yeah.
But, depending on who you're listening to, if you're going to make massive, and see, here's going back a step. I may have my personal feeling on what I may think of him as a human being in terms of how he interacts with people, right? And I only get to see what the news shows you, right? I'm not looking at that personally. I don't know
I
what
get
kind
it.
of father he is. I
Right.
have no idea. But if he's going, those are great ideas. I love that idea. Look, at some point I'm going to be on Social Security. I love the idea of not having to pay taxes on that, right? My daughter does waitressing at times. I love the idea. I'm not going to criticize everything just because it's him. That's
Right.
not
No,
fair. Right.
right. No, no, we're not going to cut. I know you, yeah, and you know me. We're not
Yeah.
going to cut off our noses, or to spite our face.
No. Yeah.
That, that,
No.
but for some reason, there are people that think that this is a bad idea, and maybe they do
No, it's
have a
not a
good
bad idea.
point. Yeah, maybe they
Yeah.
have a good point, and I don't understand it. But somehow, the idea of keeping more of your own money, that does not strike me as a bad idea. Anyway, whatever.
I'll tell you what, if he uses on a separate issue, if he uses the deep cuts that he's planning on doing with Medicaid, in addition to other cuts that he's doing, and he takes that and he uses it as a tax cut for the wealthy rather than for middle
Then you got an
America,
issue.
well,
Yeah,
now you got an issue, right? Because
right.
now you're cutting out Medicaid for people who could need it, just to what? Give your billionaire friends an additional tax cut? That would piss me off.
That would piss anybody off. But
Yeah,
hopefully it won't get to that. So hopefully it won't get.
no,
But I'm glad that that has come up. It's made it through one of the houses, and now it's in committee or subcommittee in the next houses, and we'll see if the votes are there. So far, not to bore the public about politics, but so far everything that seems to be going through is right along party lines. 100% of one side favors it, 100% of the other sides does not. It's right down the line. It just
it's
so
right.
happens that the Republicans have one or two more deciding votes, and so it doesn't matter what the other side wants or says, because at the end of the day it's the votes that matters. And I'm not saying that I like that idea. It should be sort of like a bilateral, bipartisan decision. It should always be. That's a good sign of a healthy government. But we don't have that right now. Everything is 100% yes or 100% no, and it just so happens that one outweighs the other. That's all.
It does. One outweighs the other.
Right.
For all, again, the problem with him, and it's just like being, you're the president of the United States, and I want to, people are going to love you, people are going to hate you. It's just how you handle the situation after that. He's in power, he's in charge, everyone knows it,
That's it.
everything's getting through. That's it. There was this great article this morning, and I don't know how true it is or not, but Democratic leaders are even going, are voting yes on his particular packages because they're afraid, because they're calling the Republicans and Donald Trump the mafia. They're afraid of their lives physically. They're afraid that if they vote against them, that their families are being
Sure.
threatened. Yeah,
Sure,
it's
repercussions,
crazy.
repercussions. That and
Repercussions.
that's unfortunate that we're in that situation, whether it's real or not. It's
Or not.
unfortunate that we're in
It,
there in that
yeah,
position. So
it's
anyway,
we're living in this space that
we're
it's like,
we
well,
it,
stay tuned.
that it's a good point. It's a good time to transition. Well, we're
Okay,
at it
let's
now.
do it.
So
Something a little nicer, a little
yeah, yeah.
kinder.
So we started talking about trending stories, and we had started talking about Gene Hackman, the passing of Gene Hackman, one of my favorite actors of all time. And for anybody that
Yeah,
is not aware of Gene Hackman's movies, like Dexter said, watch some of these. Whether it's The French Connection, he did Hoosiers. I think he did a movie, a Western. I don't know whether it was The Unforgiven.
Unforgiven
He
with
did
Clint
he
Eastwood.
did one where I think it was, what's his last name? Harris was the actually I don't know who the heavy was in that movie. I don't know whether it was Hackman who played the sheriff or whether it
Oh,
was
well, Hackman played the sheriff in Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood,
yeah, right.
and then he also played the sheriff with Sharon Stone in some movie where she was a gunslinger or something like that.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
one.
yeah, but he could. I don't remember because we're old and we don't remember these names now. But we should.
Right, right. But the man has made some really good movies, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it, but he did play Lex Luthor in a remake
Superman.
of Superman back in the 70s, I think it was. He did a great job. Great job. So anyway, Get out there. If you don't know the name Gene Hackman, Google it. Watch some of his movies. You're going to be well entertained. He goes back a
Yeah.
long ways, but then again, so do we.
He does. He does. He did this little movie. It wasn't critically acclaimed, but The Package, which I really like. If I start thinking about all the movies that I've seen him in, it's got to be. And he was prolific. He made like over 100 films.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And of those films, I've probably seen not all of them, honestly. Like, I want to say 30, 40 of his movies I've seen
Probably
easily.
more. Probably more.
Probably
It's just
more.
that,
Yeah.
it's just there's just so many of them. And
Right.
a lot of times it's kind of like, oh, that's right, he did that one,
Right.
like Get Shorty. He was in Get Shorty.
Yes. He was
You
in
know,
Get
a
30.
lot of people don't remember that part. You know what I mean? Or
Well,
No
that's what
Way
made him
Out.
a beat. That's what made him.
Remember
Yes, where he
No
played
Way
the.
Out? He played the
Yeah,
president of the
he
United
played the
States.
president. Yes.
So
Was it the president? Did he play the president
I think
or
he did play the president. Yeah.
defense secretary? Some powerful position. I don't remember.
Right.
But that was
Okay.
a really good
Whatever it
movie.
was. Yeah. No Way Out.
Yes.
And I think that was
Kevin
Costner's one of his
Costner?
first breakout
Yes.
movies. I think it was.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, and yeah, and to stay on point, that he was found dead along with his wife and their dog. Like that smells a little bit weird. That just
In separate rooms.
yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know
So
whether that could have.
he was in one room. His wife was in. He was in apparently what they call a mud room. I don't know what that is, but I think I know what it is. It's for skin defoliation. But and then he was. His wife was in the bathroom, and then the dog was right outside the bathroom. From what I read,
Wow.
I think
Wow.
it still doesn't. I understand him passing away because
Yeah.
at 95
Yeah.
you wouldn't be too surprised by that.
Yeah.
But the dog and his wife passing away as well. I believe she was 65, something like 30
I think
years
so.
younger.
I think so.
Yeah, so it's a little
Yeah. Yeah. Now the
suspicious.
original
Yeah.
the original story that I read was that there is no foul play, which there might not be. And in a situation like that, and I'm only guessing, I don't really know, right? In a situation like that when everybody dies and there is no foul play, to me that sounds, or it could be like a carbon monoxide poisoning kind of a thing. I don't know, but that the dog also died. Look, there's a lot of weird circumstances where a couple can die together. He might have found her dead and had a heart attack himself at 95. There's a lot of possibilities, and I'm not saying that's what happened. There's a
You
lot of
never know.
possibilities, but the dog also being found dead, that's a little bit
Well,
weird now.
they did find two other dogs healthy
Yeah.
and in another part of the house, and apparently their bodies had been there for days because there was
Mm.
some decomposition. I guess as time goes on, we'll find out more and more. It was just
Yep.
like a shock. They had to identify them. They didn't know who they were at the beginning.
Mm.
So
That's sad.
interesting.
Sad. Well,
But at 95, you certainly don't look the same you did, when you retired
well,
20
no,
years
no.
ago.
You
Right.
look like
Yeah.
you're decomposing at 95 when you're alive. We look like
That's
we're decomposing.
woo, the daywalkers.
Oh, God. Oh,
Hey, we
God.
gotta leave that one day too,
Even a zombie would look at us like, dude, seriously, you need help.
Yeah, seriously, I would go back. Come on, hit another branch, please. Come on.
But yeah, man. So it's unfortunate that happened. But yeah, like you said, time is gonna determine what will happen. And
Yeah,
I am
what'll happen? Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Now, from a personal perspective in my life right now, you haven't told you this, but right now, and it's a sad thing that's happening right now. My church that I attend right now is in a little bit of a revolution, if you want to look at it that way. We
Hmm.
had our priest that was with us for 15 years. He retired, and the Newark Archdiocese signed a new, younger priest. We have a real problem there, and the reason, and I'm not bad mouthing anybody. The reason I'm bringing this up is because for some reason I have been made a representative of the church
Oh,
to plead our case against this priest and to the Monsignor and to Cardinal Tobin,
So you try to plead, though. I'm not
having
sure.
him removed
Oh,
because he is, by my opinion, the opinions of many others, but I'm not going to mention any names. He's a bad fit. I'll just leave it at that. He's a really bad fit. He's one of those guys that appears to have the attitude of divide and conquer. And at first, when I was looking at it from my own perspective, I thought, am I imagining this? Could this be my own sort of take on it? But then in the days that have passed since, there are hundreds of people that feel this way.
mm.
There's two sign-up rosters in excess of 350 signatures that want this pastor removed. And I was one who signed, but I didn't think I was going to be made the representative of.
Surprise.
Yeah. I was like, how did you get me involved with this?
Right.
But so that's, it's a sad thing that to see a church in all out revolt, basically. I mean, I'm not talking about pitchforks and torches yet, but it's getting to that point. And I'm sure the Archdiocese and the Cardinal doesn't want to see this part of our podcast. Why not? Have a nice day.
Why not? Oh, well, I don't think we've said anything that's unchristian.
Yeah.
So,
So, and we just had a meeting Monday night. And without going into too many details, I went in there open-minded, very friendly guy, just like you see just now. And the Monsignor, and if you're listening, Monsignor, please don't take this personal. I'm not trying to talk bad about it. He started off right away and pissed me off. And we'll talk about the details later on, but that set me off. And for a meeting that was supposed to take a half an hour lasted 2.5 hours. Basically, me throwing tirades. You know what I mean? Professionally, it's kind of like, more Christian. It wasn't as if I had lost control of myself or anything like that. But I painted him into a corner with facts and accusations from everybody that went with me. There were about 20 other people with me. And I let everybody speak their minds. But long story short, our church is in revolution right now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I think we're trying to get rid of somebody that is destructive. And I think that's healthy in any circumstance.
well, yeah, the problem is not ideological, right? The problem is you have an issue with the leadership.
Hmm. His
Yeah. So, I
mannerisms.
mean,
Is
it's
his
mannerism.
mannerisms, and he is the bull in the china shop, doesn't seem to care about anything or anyone. He's just going to do it my way or the highway. And it has caused, a significant drop in attendance and in tithing. And that's where the church gets involved. They may not necessarily get involved with the hearsay. They may not get involved with the attendance. But when the tithing goes down, and for anybody that
When
does
the
not understand,
contributions stop, right?
right, and for anybody that doesn't understand what the word tithing is, that's just what that is. It's just giving money to the church.
Right.
When that starts and that presents itself, then everybody's attention
Well,
is,
because now you're
he,
affecting
yep,
money's coming in, right?
yep,
He's the parishioners are not agreeing with whatever is happening and they're not
yep,
attending. So now you're losing your community and then you're losing your money. So that's a potential problem.
yep, yep. So that's what's happening with me. Holy smokes. And then on top of that,
Oh,
I'm working nights. So,
oh my Lord. We were just talking about that, everyone, when like our work schedules lately are nuts. Like it's kind of it's kind of like it. We're at a point in our lives where we're looking back on our work and saying, we're almost done. It's still, I mean, it's just as intense as it
yep,
ever was,
yep,
and it never seems to change.
yeah.
It's been a crazy week. It's gonna be a crazy week, and I guess that's a good point for us to say, hey, we look forward to next week and what we'll have to talk about, and
Hmm.
this week was kind of crazy, so I'm sure we'll have some crazier stuff next week to talk about.
Guaranteed.
Uh, should be fun, my friend.
It's only
Should be
Thursday.
fun. The weekend hasn't even come yet. And we're gonna be like, oh my God.
Woo, baby.
It'll be like, I don't like the heat. I don't like this. Rid of the dust. Nice.
Get off my lawn. Oh God.
See
Well,
that?
that went downhill fast.
Very fast. All right,
Whew.
brother. Until next time, everyone.
All right, guys, take care. And again, for those of you that are still with us, please click the like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be reminded when the new episode is out. God help you. And we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you on the next one, everyone.
Take care, guys.